I do want to talk about Kenobi for a little bit, even though you haven't watched it. But the fifth episode was kind of leads from the previous one of it just being total fucking garbage. I don't know how people defend this show on any level. I think people are defending the show based on its Easter eggs and like the little things it hints at. But that's about all that this show can do. There was probably 2 moments in episode 5 that were good. Like I didn't mind. Well, the sparring session that Obi-Wan and Anakin have during this is like flashbacks for Anakin.
Hayden Christensen looked like a very old teen.
Right, they didn't even de-age him, which was a bizarre choice. But also, it sort of breaks the narrative between, like, they make him out to be really hateful. Essentially, Attack of the Clones, like it takes place in that zone, and I just thought it was like, this isn't how he acted. Like he acted more like this in the third one. Like he was certainly conflicted, I think, in the second one, but not to this extent.
I mean, if this took place after his mom died, I could see that happening. But from the looks of it, I'm assuming this is not taking place after that.
No. Kenobi is not good. No, it's not. It's objectively very bad. In the criticism the critics are drawing from it are totally baseless. Like again, it's bad writing and it's bad acting. Ewan McGregor's doing fine. He's given a shit script and he does what he can with it. Moses Ingram is just an awful actress. She's not meant to play this role. It should have gone to someone else. Again, she comes off as a petulant child. She doesn't come off as anyone who has, like, they haven't illustrated her real pain. And again, character building can be done in a short amount of time, but they have done such a bad job. You know, her first, like in the very beginning, you know, you see her escaping Order 66. But even that, like, people are getting, I guess, implied that she may have gotten hit with a lightsaber as a kid and survives. At the end of the episode, she gets run through with a lightsaber as well, and she apparently survives. Apparently, the Grand Inquisitor can take a lightsaber
to the gut, man.
But not Qui-Gon. We got to kill off Qui-Gon with the gut one. Yeah, and Moses' character is not likable at all. And yeah, you don't even like feel bad for her. You don't feel anything for her, unfortunately. And Leia, unfortunately, is insufferable. She has such a big role in this. It makes me wonder, like, how did she forget it all?
Like, if they made a show Leia, they should have just done that instead of this.
Yeah.
So you know how that song, the music during that fight with Darth Maul and Qui-Gon just called "Duel of the Fates."
The Duel of Fates, yeah.
It was Duel of the Fate of Anakin. Because if Qui-Gon survived, he would have been the father figure that Anakin needed to stay on the light side. But instead, the Sith won that fight overall. Yeah. And therefore, he had an inexperienced teacher with Obi-Wan who didn't want to teach him in the first place. But eventually they become friends later on. But there's always that constant rift between the characters throughout a lot of the stories.
Yeah. So that makes it a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, like someone explained this way better than I am, but I really I never even thought about that. It's like, damn, that makes sense.
We all know that stormtroopers are bad at shooting. At this point, like, I think they just, like, it's built into, like, even the scenes that they shoot. So they track Obi-Wan back to like essentially this like rebel base, we'll say. And it's where they're hiding like some Jedi. It's part of the path. Vader makes her the Grand Inquisitor, and they land on this planet. Everyone's hiding. They bring this giant laser gun out. And I'm not kidding. Reva screams out, "Light them up." Light them up, she says. And
like a true gangsta.
Oh, dude, it's so bad. But so we know stormtroopers are bad at shooting. They're going into, they're pushing into this complex. Tala and that robot weirdo thing are like shooting back and fighting back, but no one is ducking behind cover. Everyone's standing in the middle of this hallway, shooting back and forth with with the stormtroopers. And of course, and then she does this like, you got me. It's like, well, no shit. You're standing in the middle of the room.
That was better acting than Reva.
Right. And then they try and make you feel anything for her. I don't care about Tala. They don't do any sort of character building. Then they do the sad music when the robot gets shot up and he, falls, and who cares? Who cares about these characters? No one cares.
Had more empathy from me.
You don't care about these characters at all. They make you care, or they try and force you into an emotional moment, and
you're a racist if you don't care.
And then so and it gets worse, if you can imagine. Obi-Wan turns himself in to Reva because he's caught on to the fact that she is a youngling who survived Order 66, and she's hateful towards Anakin. That's why she knows it's Anakin. She's going to use it to get back at him. So he discovers this. He turns himself into her, and they're talking about this plan. Like, Obi-Wan's trying to convince her to help him amidst 20 fucking stormtroopers. Like, anyone could, they're whispering, but you could definitely, like, we're meant to believe that no one can hear this at all.
Sounds like they whisper how my sister whispers. Hey, you want to team up and kill all these guys? Yeah, I sure do. Let's take them by surprise.
Yeah, it's not like that she takes Obi-Wan into another room and they're talking privately and he's trying to convince her while whispering. No, they're standing in front of this giant room, stormtroopers everywhere around them, and he's having a conversation about how he should help her, or how she should help him. And
he needs a strong, independent woman.
Right, and so now arrives Darth Vader, and he's walking in fucking gangbusters. A ship is taken off to retreat. He stops the ship with his force power. Never has he done anything like that. So now we're meant to believe that the ship's taken off and he's going to, take back Obi-Wan. No. Why didn't he do that in A New Hope or at the end of Rogue One? Why didn't he stop the ship with his force powers? Like, don't get me wrong, it was a badass moment, but like, talk about breaking canon, like, across multiple movies. Like, again, it's a badass moment.
Yeah, I saw a clip and that looks cool.
Yeah, and it, like, and he like rips the side of the thing off when he puts it back on the ground, and then it's used as a diversion for the actual ship to escape. And amid all this, Reva, quote unquote, sneaks up behind him and does the slowest surprise attack I've ever seen in my life.
Hey, Vader, don't turn around. I'm attacking you.
Well, it's like one of those things where, like, she's there and we see her, he doesn't. And like the lightsaber goes on, and then instead of doing like a thrust, like, a quick thrust attack, she like turns it on, waits a second, then the slowest over the head, like sloppy, like LARPer attack on him. And it was, so this is like the best part of it was Vader doesn't even draw his lightsaber against her at first. I don't think he draws his saber at all. He basically like stops her like every attack with his force power and like just brushes her away, spins her around. And that was cool. I mean, he's certainly a very rageful person at this point. He's still young, quote unquote. But
he's still burned.
He makes a mockery of her, but the choreography is still sloppy and weird. And one thing I'll say about this episode, I think this was the episode that they used to justify the quote from A New Hope. When I left you, I was but the learner. Now I am the master. So the flashback scene was meant to illustrate that Anakin was not ready to take on also the role of being a leader or a master. And even in this episode, his rage and need to capture Obi-Wan like blinds him in a way.
It was like a screenshot of this one random ass scene, like, oh, the choreography, oh, the cinematography, it makes up for all of it.
Right, and like that's what bothers me the most. Like, okay, I can get on board with some of the cinematography being good and whatnot. It doesn't take away from the garbage writing.